Good day, Crime Talk aficionados. My name is Scott Reich, and this is Crime Talk. Well, I've had a busy day, so let's get straight to the docket. First, Ethan Crumbley, the perfect example of play stupid games, win stupid prizes. Second, Alex Murdaugh speaks to his son from the jail. The jury continues to deliberate in the trial of the 3 officers accused of violating George Floyd's civil rights. Maybe it's not the food, maybe it's the restaurant that's making people go into a rage. That's right, another crazy restaurant story. A home invasion with a twist, and then finally, our dumb criminal of the day. Let's talk about it. Good day, aficionados. As you can tell, that's right, I'm back in a suit today. Had to do lawyer stuff and go to, well, a hearing. Anyway, it's been a busy day, so let's get to the docket. But before we do that, you know the drill. If you haven't done so already, please hit the subscribe button, hit that bell so you receive notifications, leave me a comment, and as always, if you can't watch us here on YouTube, you can always listen to us at any time in all of our previous episodes by simply downloading Crime Talk on your favorite podcasting app. Let's get to the docket for Wednesday, February 23rd, 2022. Well, prosecutors argued that the 15-year-old who is accused of carrying out a shooting at a Michigan high school where 4 students were killed should remain in adult jail pending his trial because his mental maturity is well beyond his age. Now, due to the seriousness of the crimes he's facing, he's been held at the Oakland County Jail. And on Tuesday, prosecutors argued during a court hearing that he should remain in that jail instead of being transferred to the Oakland County Children's Village, where they hold juvenile offenders. Prosecutors said that his journal, which Crumbley wrote in, details about the type of gun he would need, who the victims would be, and he even wrote his plan to surrender at the end of the shooting so he could see the pain and suffering that he caused. Crumbley is under constant supervision and is monitored every 15 minutes by an officer, according to his public defender, Paulette Mitchell Lofton. Now, Miss Lofton said that leading up to the shooting, Crumbley was hallucinating, seeing things and hearing voices. She also said that Crumbley asked his parents to see a therapist because he was not sleeping, he was extremely anxious, and not eating. Miss Lofton argued that the isolation in jail is not beneficial and actually harms her client. The prosecution argued quite the opposite. He's currently allowed to watch television, has access to a tablet to communicate with his friends and family, is allowed to play games, and has access to books, has phone privileges, receives mail, and has access to the jail's commissary, where he has an account and can purchase food items. Now, Miss Lofton argued back that her client does not have the tablet with him in his cell and that he does have access to a phone but does not have the phone numbers of any of his relatives, so he cannot utilize that phone whatsoever. Currently, there are no juveniles at the Children's Village with murder charges, according to the manager, Heather Calcaterra. Now, Miss Calcaterra also said she would be concerned about Crumbley's safety in the juvenile detention center and thinks that he might become a target. Well, the Oakland County Circuit Judge Kwame Rowe is expected to announce his decision next week whether Crumbley will be allowed to transfer to the juvenile facility. The alleged shooter faces 1 count of terrorism causing death, 4 counts of first-degree murder, 7 counts of assault with intent to commit murder, and 12 counts of possession of a firearm during the commission of a felony. He has pled not guilty, and his attorneys have filed notice that they plan to use an insanity defense at his trial. We'll let you know what the judge does. If I was a betting man, I would say that, well, Mr. Crumbley is going to stay in the adult detention facility because, well, when you commit big boy acts, you get to go to big boy jail, and then you're going to go to big boy prison. So make yourself comfortable. Next on the docket, Alex Murdaugh. He speaks, well, at least over the phone, basically to his son. Now, I tell clients all the time, I know it sucks being in jail. You want to talk to people, communicate with people, but the reality of it is at the end of the day, you don't talk on the phone. They're being recorded. And in this particular case, well, they're subject to being released during a request for Freedom of Information Act request, basically a public records request. So let's see what he has to say. So a handful of calls from the Alvin S. Glenn Detention Center in Columbia, South Carolina, between the now suspended attorney Alec Murdaugh and his family members have been released. Between the last fall and December 9th, Murdaugh made almost 100 phone calls. Most of the calls were to his son Buster, his brother Randy Murdaugh, and John Marvin, his sister Lynn, and his sister-in-law Liz. In one of the calls between Buster and Alec on October 24th, Alec references some sort of financial transaction involving PMPED, Parker Law Group, attorney Mark Ball, Buster Murdaugh, John Marvin, and Palmetto State Bank. Alex told Buster, please stay on John Marvin's ass to see about that stuff from Mark Ball in any of those funds to put on that thing. Buster confirms it will be taken care of in the morning. He adds, yep, they'll write the check in the morning. The check will be ready at 8:30. John is sending someone to pick it up and then simultaneously running it over to Palmetto State to apply it, and I'm driving to Charleston in the morning to pick up the check, and they're going to apply that too. That's all what Alex said. Alec asked, correct. Buster said, saying that it would be done by lunch the next day. That makes me feel so much better, according to Alex. So much, it'll be $350. How much has he put on so far? Buster says, Dad, I don't have an exact figure. A couple of tens or thousands, maybe, just selling pieces of equipment. In another phone call, Buster and Alex discussed Buster going back to law school. As previously reported, Buster was asked to leave the University of South Carolina Law School after a cheating scandal back in 2019. Now, obviously, we're not saying he was involved in anything or did anything wrong. We'd give him the presumption of innocence, but it may appear the old apple doesn't fall too far from the tree, now doesn't it? Now, Buster says he will reach out to Butch, referring to Butch Bowers, a high-profile attorney who represents former President Donald Trump last year. Buster asked his father if Butch is paid all the money he was owed. Alex says yes. Up front, it was $30,000, then another $30,000 later. So it seems like Alex has paid Butch Bowers $60,000 to do something in connection with Buster's readmittance to law school, but it's not clear exactly what. During another call, Buster talks about the picture that was taken of him and his uncle John Marvin while they were gambling. Alex seems shocked that this made the news. Buster says the news outlets were saying that Buster was misusing funds by gambling. Buster brushes it off, saying, I guess that I mean I'm a national figure. Alex tells him that he's going to have to wear a hat and shit when he goes out in the public, Alex asks Buster about his finances multiple times during the call, one time just days after being indicted on 27 financial charges. Alex says that he told John Marvin to give his son Buster money and that he would pay him back. Buster insists that he is fine and doesn't need any money. Alex pushes back, saying John Marvin is happy to give him money and that he should be so bashful. Then Buster brings up the fact that SLED, the South Carolina Law Enforcement Division, is still in possession of the Murdaugh's family belongings. Alex seems frustrated SLED has their guns and tells Buster that he can borrow his golf clubs since Buster's are in the Mercedes at SLED. Overall, Buster seems apprehensive when his father asks him to do him favors. Alex asks Buster to call Maggie Murdaugh's parents, Maggie's housekeeper, Blanca, and John Marvin's wife, Liz. When Murdaugh explains he is asking Buster to call Liz to put money on another inmate's account, Buster says, I understand. I just really hope you're not doing anything that you shouldn't be doing, Buster says. Alex promises Buster, saying that is not the case. So, boy, when the kid is acting more like an adult than the adult, you got issues there. All right, so the jury's still deliberating as it relates to the trial, the federal trial of the 3 fired Minneapolis police officers charged with violating George Floyd's civil rights after the judge gave them jury instructions. Koenig, Lane, and Tao are charged with depriving Floyd of his right to medical care when fellow officer Derek Chauvin pressed his knee into Floyd's neck for 9.5 minutes as the 46-year-old black man pleading for air before going silent. Tao was also charged with failing to intervene to stop Chauvin during the May 25, 2020 killing that was captured by bystanders' videos and triggered protests worldwide, and a re-examination of racism and policing. Prosecutors and defense attorneys spent a full day Tuesday in closing arguments that recapped a month of testimony and sought to sway the jury toward the view of the case. Prosecutors said the 3 officers chose to do nothing as Chauvin squeezed the life out of Floyd. Defense attorneys countered that the officers were too inexperienced, weren't trained properly, and did not fully violate Floyd's rights. The judge went through the counts Wednesday, telling jurors that they must consider, for example, the reasonable force and said if the jury finds that Chauvin used unreasonable force and that Tao and Koenig had a realistic opportunity to intervene to stop it, then they must find that they deprived Floyd of his rights to be free from unreasonable force under the Constitution. I'll be honest with you. I think this is going to be a tough decision for the jurors in this particular case. I think there's going to be a lot of people struggling, since you do have very inexperienced officers who are not going to tell the senior training officer on the street, hey, you're doing something incorrect. It's easy to sit back and play armchair quarterback and say that's what you should be doing. It's another thing where the rubber meets the road. I don't think it's going to be, I think the jurors are going to struggle on this. We'll see what they do. I don't know what they'll do. We'll have to wait and see. We'll all find out together. All right, maybe it's not the food that's causing all the hostility. Maybe it's McDonald's. Seems like a lot of the stories we bring to you involve McDonald's. And why? Well, here's another one. A woman at McDonald's in Richmond, California, accused another woman of cutting in front of her in the drive-thru line. The victim was able to film part of the interaction as the suspect yelled at her and throws things at her car. The interaction escalates, and the assailant hits the woman's car with her own car and drags her about 150 feet across the parking lot, and then punches her while she was down. The suspect sped off, leaving the victim and her 2 children, ages 3 and 5, sitting terrified in the car after watching what had just taken place with their mother. In the video, you can hear the young mother assuring her children not to cry. But when the suspect rams their car into the car, you can hear the children get upset right before the video ends. The victim, only identified as Amaro, said that looking back, she knows it was a mistake to get out of the car. She said her children are traumatized from the incident and is working with the Richmond police to identify the suspect. Ladies and gentlemen, it's fast food. I understand we all get a little hangry, but just, take a snack, do something. And the drive-thru seems to be another big problem as well. I don't know. Just, if you're worried about getting the right order, go inside. People won't cut in front of you. Really? Food, people? All right, a little home invasion with a twist. The daughter of a former Kentucky legislator was found shot and killed during a home invasion during which her father was reportedly present. Jordan Morgan, the daughter of former legislator C. Wesley Morgan, and reportedly an attorney herself, was fatally shot early Tuesday morning by a suspect who allegedly broke into the home. The victim's father, who previously worked for former Republican Governor Matt Bevin, was at the residence which he owns. It is unclear whether Jordan lives at the residence or was just visiting. Kentucky State Police Trooper Robert Purdy told the Associated Press that detectives are in the very early stages, preliminary stages of the investigation. It is unclear if a suspect has been identified or if anyone is in custody. This is a developing story, and we will keep you updated. Always a twist when it comes to people related to politicians, isn't it? Please go to CrimeTalkSearch.com, sign up for a background subscription service. You'll be happy you did. If there's anyone out there you were ever curious about what was in their background, now is the time to do it. If you're going to get involved with somebody, now is the time to do it. When you go to CrimeTalkSearch.com, you put in the name, literally millions of public records are searched, and a report is generated. And it's going to give you a report. If they have multiple social media accounts, you're going to find it. If they have multiple phone numbers, multiple email addresses, it's going to be found. And more importantly, you're going to get information regarding criminal history. Hopefully the person you're searching has none whatsoever. But if it's there, it's going to be found. You're going to get everything you'd want to know, whether you're going into business or whether you're going into a personal relationship. You're going to be able to find out the information you want to know. So go to CrimeTalkSearch.com, sign up today. You'll be happy you did. And next on the docket, our dumb criminal of the day. A drunk lawyer was refused service at a bar in St. Petersburg Beach, Florida. She then went to the bathroom and emerged completely naked. Managers called the police on 49-year-old Kelly Elkins in the early morning, and she reportedly refused to put clothes back on. Police arrived, and the lawyer was still naked. Police managed to get her to put on a hoodie, but she wouldn't zip it up. Police reported Elkins saying she was too tired to put her pants on. Charged with disorderly conduct, Elkins was booked into the county jail, from which she was later released on her own recognizance. Elkins, who was admitted to the Florida bar in 2001, is also a licensed real estate broker. Maybe somebody had a little too much to drink, or maybe had a little too much to drink with maybe something else prescribed, maybe not prescribed, and felt she was really tired. Well, one thing we're sure is, Miss Elkins, you're a dumb criminal of the day, and you better call ethics counsel for both the real estate license and your bar license. That's right. They can suspend people for stuff like that. All right. Thanks for watching. Have a wonderful day. We'll see you next time on Crime Talk.